experienced quite a bit of success in the last couple of years with YouTube, with my start to my career, with my life circumstances, and I fully acknowledge that some of that is just luck, some of it is just being blessed, some of it is privilege, but I also know that I would not have been able to attain or maintain this level of success in my life if I did not practice discipline. But I don't mean discipline in the traditional sense. We've been taught this definition of discipline that's all about doing whatever is required to reach a desired outcome. Even if, and sometimes especially if, what's required in order to get that desired outcome is difficult, boring, painful, or requires sacrifice. If your goal is to be a YouTuber or have a successful side hustle, then they say you need to sacrifice your nights and your weekends. If your goal is to get in shape, they say you can no longer eat the foods you like and you need to do a bunch of painful workouts that you don't enjoy. If you want to become financially free, you need to forfeit all those lattes and delay all gratification until you're 60. The problem with this definition of discipline is that it sounds a lot like punishment, and no one wants to punish themselves. In fact, we often want to rebel against the people who punish us. And this behavior of self-punishment and self-rebellion results in a cycle of being tired of our current circumstances, putting a strict regimen in place for ourselves that feels like punishment, rebelling against ourselves by abandoning the regimen, then getting so frustrated about being in the same place again that we formulate a new, more difficult regimen to try to get ourselves on track. The fallacy in this type of discipline is that it wrongfully assumes that we need to police ourselves when really what we need to do is parent ourselves. It discounts the fact that humans learn best through kindness, compassion, encouragement, and a helping hand. That leaning into pleasure, joy, and self-care can actually increase our productivity, our energy levels, and our drive. This is why I really like the soft discipline trend. To me, soft discipline is about considering all those things that we must do in order to achieve our goals and doing ourselves the favor of finding sustainable ways to make those things easier and more enjoyable for us to do. So I want to share some ways that I've been practicing self-discipline that you can implement in your own life in order to achieve and sustain success in any endeavor. The first way you can practice self-discipline is by replacing judgment with curiosity. I've been struggling with two things recently. I've been struggling to wake up and get up early, and I've been eating a lot of junk. This is how my mornings have been looking. My first alarm goes off at 6:15 and then I turn it off, and then the next one goes off at 7:15. Then I pick up my phone, turn the alarm off, check emails, and then check every single app on my phone, and by the time I know it, it's 9 a.m. And at this point, I'm really hungry and I just go grab the thing that seems the most delicious on my counter or in my fridge, which is usually not the healthiest thing. This has been going on for a couple of weeks and it's hard not to get frustrated at myself. Why can't I just get up in the morning and not be lazy and have the really productive, really healthy morning routine that I want to have? I have these thoughts and judgments because I feel like a victim of my actions, which I am. I choose to do certain things or not do certain things, and then I either benefit from or suffer from the consequences of those choices. And so in a way, I have a right to judge myself. And it's usually from this judgmental space that we come up with these really intense regimens for ourselves to try to get ourselves back on track. But there is another option, because while I am the victim of my choices, I am also the observer of my choices. And if I make decisions from the observer's perspective, I'm able to have a more objective perspective on what's actually going on and the best course of action to change what's going on. Which brings me to the second thing that you can do, which is think of yourself as a customer. So I work in the marketing world and I also study marketing, and some of what they teach us about customer or consumer research is really trying to put yourself in the shoes of your customer, thinking about their goals and their pain points. And when you think of yourself as a customer, you're able to objectively observe what you're doing and figure out your pain points and solutions to your pain points instead of just trying to will your way into a better situation. It allows me to look deeper than just those judgments of I'm being lazy or I need to try harder, and really not take for granted that I am a reasonable young lady, and therefore there must be a reason for how I'm behaving. So for about a week, I didn't try to change anything that I was doing. I just took note of what I was doing, and I observed the environment in which I was doing it in. One of these mornings, I was rolling around in bed, and then I turned towards my window, and for a moment it got really sunny, and all of a sudden I felt like getting up. And this made me think that one thing that was contributing to me not wanting to get up was that it was dark in my room in the mornings. I just don't get a lot of sunlight in my room. I also observed that I would initially pick up my phone to turn off my alarm, and then once I looked at my phone, because it was the brightest thing in my room, I would just keep wanting to look at it and check more apps even though I wasn't really doing anything on my phone. And because I was staying in bed for so much longer, by the time I got up, I was super hungry and I just wanted whatever would give me the quickest sugar rush, which is what happens when we usually wait till we're starving to eat. Because I was waking up later, I also didn't have extra time in the morning to go grocery shopping, and I realized I hadn't properly gone grocery shopping in over a week, and so I just didn't have a lot of healthy options available in my fridge. So once I was able to identify those pain points, then I moved on to the next practice, which is finding ways to make the hard things easier. The issue was not that I needed to find a way to stop being lazy. It was that I needed to find a way to get more sunlight in the morning to encourage me to get up earlier. Or figure out a system to make sure I always have a healthy option that I can quickly reach for in the morning. And when I connect all these problems, I realized they had a lot more to do with my environment than any qualities that I had, which is often the case when we think that something is wrong with ourselves. It's usually just the environment that we are creating for ourselves. And by changing things in the environment, we're able to change our behavior to get our desired outcome. So the solution I came up with was that it was fine if I checked my phone in the morning, but I had to get out of my bed and go sit on my couch before I checked my phone. I could lay there as long as I wanted to, but I had to get up from my bed and go sit on my couch. I didn't have to make my bed first. I didn't have to do anything first. All I had to do was walk from my bed to my couch. The reason I did this is because I noticed that my living room gets much more sunlight than my bedroom in the mornings. And so by automatically just going to the living room, I'm getting more sunlight, which I notice helps me perk up in the morning and want to get up and start my day. Also, because there was more sunlight in the living room, my phone was no longer the thing that was the brightest. I personally really like looking at sunlight and how sunlight bounces off of things. And so by being in my living room and being in that environment, it made my phone no longer the most interesting thing, and I would at least sometimes look up from my phone to look around the room and get myself out of the chokehold that Twitter or whatever had on me. Also, I have all the things in my living room that will lead to a productive day. My desk is out here, my laptop, my journal, my water bottle, my walking pad, all the things that I now can actually see in front of me. By being in the living room and being right next to all those things, it makes it easier for me to decide to pick up my computer and do some work, or pick up my journal and write something, instead of just being in my room in the dark and not having those things right there in my face to prompt me. So even though I didn't make a rule for myself to not stay on the couch for a certain amount of time, I've noticed that I will get up from the couch sooner than I would if I was just laying in my bed, because it's just like, oh yeah, it's a good idea, I should get some steps in, or I should go eat some fruit or something. And it just makes making the healthy decisions easier. And I still scroll on my phone. It's not like I'm starting my day at 5 a.m., but I'm scrolling for a lot less time and I'm having much more productive mornings. Which brings me to the next way that you can practice self-discipline, which is striving for balance. I don't think as humans we should try to be the most productive that we can. I don't think that's the whole point of life. And I think really striving for 80-20 balance is a good goal, because you should be allowed to be unproductive sometimes. I've been practicing this a lot with my diet, trying to eat pretty healthy 80% of the time, and the other 20% I can do whatever I want. For me personally, I noticed that what I eat is highly dependent on what is available to me. For example, I love fruits. I could eat fruits all day. I also love vegetables. I could snack on vegetables all day. At home, my mom used to leave like fruits and vegetables just out on the table for us to eat when we passed by, and I would eat all of them because they were right there in my face, and I'm like, yeah, these are good. At the same time, if there's cookies or donuts on the table and I pass by, I'm also gonna eat a cookie or a donut every time. That does not mean that I don't have willpower. It just means that I can be conscious of the fact that I eat what is available to me and make certain things more available to me than others. So when I grocery shop, I try to basically get everything healthy. I honestly get annoyed at myself because I get home and I'm like, I didn't get a single cookie, a single cake, anything. There's just a bunch of fruits, vegetables, healthy stuff. And for me, that means that I'm reaching for healthy options most times in the day, and I'm making it a little bit more difficult for me to have less healthy options, like I have to actually go get a donut every time I want a donut, or go get a cookie every time I want a cookie. Because if I keep a bunch of cookies in my apartment, I'm just gonna eat all of them. And so that's how I do the 80-20 balance. When I grocery shop, I get a bunch of healthy food, but anytime I have a craving for anything that's unhealthy, like fast foods or sugary desserts, I don't stop myself from getting them. I can get Wendy's anytime I want. I can go get donuts every time I want, but I don't keep them in bulk in my house to be available to me. And it's not a rigid system, and it doesn't work 100% of the time. But again, we're not striving for 100%, we're striving for 80-20. And the last way to practice self-discipline is to be open to change. What I learned through observing myself in this way is that I am very affected by my environment. And the truth is that our environments aren't static. You guys know that I just moved a couple of months ago, and I'm still getting used to my new home. Also, I live in New Jersey. Winter is coming. We're getting less sunlight, and that also affects if we want to get up early in the morning or not. And I think ultimately it's just really important when we find that what we have been doing isn't working anymore to be willing to give those things up and replace it with something that's going to work better for us right now. So those are just some things that have been helping me practice discipline in a healthy way. I hope that you try some of these out and they work for you. I also am still learning myself. So if there's any tips on this subject that you have, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below. I'm sure everyone will benefit from them. If you're interested in more self-development topic videos from me, I'll leave a playlist here. And otherwise, I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.